Welcome to another episode of 9to5Mac Weekly, where we finally have the new iPhone, but of course it had to be called the SE as opposed to the iPhone 9, because that would have just been too perfect, because this is actually the 9th episode of 9to5Mac Weekly, but you know what? It's alright. I am your host, Miles Somerville. Let's jump right into the news and talk about the new iPhone SE. So firstly, we were kind of right. The new iPhone is going to be called the SE, like I said, and there isn't going to be a Plus model, so just a 4.7-inch version as far as we can tell. And it's going to start at $399 for the 64GB model, $449 for the 128GB model, and $549 for the 256GB model. And it'll come in 3 colors: product red, black, and white. And just know that every purchase version of the product red version of the SE is going to contribute to the global COVID-19 fund. So I don't want to see anyone buying a black or white version of the SE. Buy the red and just slap a skin on it if you feel like you need to. And something that's also noteworthy here, we no longer have a white front bezel for the iPhone. So for every color, black, white, and red, you're gonna get a front black bezel, which I think is kind of interesting to see that kind of finally go away, but I was never really a fan of it, quite honestly. Firstly, when taking a look at the display, we're getting a 4.7-inch Retina HD display with True Tone and support for Dolby Vision and HDR10 playback. Overall, it looks like we're getting the same display that we've got on the iPhone 8, which is no problem at all, and for the price of $399, it should definitely get the job done for anyone picking this up. As far as Touch ID goes, we've got the same second generation Touch ID that we found in the iPhone 8, so nothing really new there, just the same good old reliable Touch ID. Although we knew Apple wasn't going to do this from the start once we saw what the design was going to look like, it would have been really bold to see them do Face ID, but I think that would have had to make the iPhone a bit more expensive, but that would have been a killer feature if they brought that in at a $399 price point. But you know, you get what you get, and we can't really complain for the overall package we're seemingly getting here. As far as processing power is concerned, the reports were definitely right, and the SE will feature the A13 Bionic chip that is seen in the current flagship iPhones, the 11 and 11 Pros. So yeah, this phone is definitely not going to be a slouch, and it should last anyone who buys it now years to come, because the A13 is an awesome processor and it handles iOS very, very well, as do all the other A processors. When it comes to battery life, Apple claims the SE will feature the same battery prowess as the iPhone 8, so seemingly the SE should last you all day with normal usage. As far as charging goes, the iPhone SE is also going to support fast charging, and Apple claims you should be able to get a 50% charge from just 30 minutes of charging, which is pretty good. And the phone is also going to support Qi wireless charging, of course, and should be coming with a 5-watt charger in the box, along with the normal Apple accessories. As far as connectivity, the iPhone SE, to everyone's surprise, is going to support Wi-Fi 6, which means this $400 smartphone is going to support AX Wi-Fi, which is super duper cool. The only downside here as far as connectivity is that the iPhone SE is not going to feature the ultra-wideband U1 chip that's found in the iPhone 11 and 11 Pros. So the U1 chip was designed for enhancing AirDrop performance, and I think it's going to be incredibly crucial for the upcoming Apple Tile-like tracker that's been rumored and should be coming out sometime this year. But in Apple's defense, not having this chip in the iPhone SE might not be that big of a deal, because maybe the target demographic that's going to be buying the SE isn't the same demographic that's going to be buying their Tile tracker when it comes out sometime this year, hopefully. And there's also the fact that the U1 chip isn't even supported in certain regions. It's prohibited in certain countries, so maybe Apple just didn't think it was worth it to throw it in. But like I said, for the money, for $399 to start, you really can't complain about something or call the lack of the U1 chip in the SE a deal breaker by any means. As far as the cameras are concerned, the rear lens is going to be a 12-megapixel f1.8 wide-angle camera, and because of the A13 Bionic processor, the camera is going to utilize the neural engine and signal processors in the camera for the use of depth control, portrait mode, and all of the software-based lighting effects that we all know and use one time after initially getting the camera. And as far as at least the rear camera is concerned, you're going to be getting all the same video features that we've seen on the iPhone 11 and 11 Pro. This means you're going to be getting up to 4K UHD video at 24, 30, and 60 frames per second, and it'll be optically stabilized. So as far as the rear camera, this phone is still going to be killer for stills and videos. The front-facing camera will feature a 7 megapixel f2.2 lens and will be able to shoot video at up to 1080p at 30 frames per second, and will feature image stabilization as well, which is perfectly fine, especially for that price point. Other than that, this phone is going to feature an IP67 water resistance rating, so you'll be able to get a little bit of water on it, but that's pretty much it as far as the SE is concerned. We already pretty much knew what this phone was going to be well beforehand, and for the price of $399, like I've said a bunch of times, I think this phone is going to be well worth it. I'd be really shocked if it wasn't. But let's take a little break from the news and hop into our desk flex for the week. So this week we've got a desk flex submission from Scott. He sent me a video of his setup, and let's take a look.
What's up, everyone? I thought I would put together one of these desk flex videos. It starts with a 2017 15-inch MacBook Pro that's connected to a 27-inch Samsung 144Hz 1440p display. On either side is a cheap set of speakers that I maybe paid $30 for. Next to the left speaker is a Blu-ray burner, and to the left of that is a iPad mini, the most recent generation. I think it's 5th generation. But all of this is connected to a cool little Elgato Thunderbolt 3 docking station back here. Makes it super convenient to plug and unplug this MacBook Pro. Next to it, I have a 2011 MacBook Pro that is just a media server and a Time Machine backup server, and connected to that are those two Western Digital MyBook drives. And my internet connection is a 100 megabit up and down fiber connection. My city was one of the first in the US to have fiber to the home, so naturally I jumped on that, and that's it. Thanks.
Awesome setup, Scott. I really like the accessories you've got on the desk, although you didn't go over exactly everything. Just looking at the video, it looks like you've got the Apple branded Magic Mouse and keyboard in space gray, which looks super clean on the setup. The Samsung monitor looks nice, although you didn't exactly identify what kind of monitor that is and what resolution you've got going there. But overall, the setup looks really nice. The iPad mini, I just want to point this out, the iPad mini looks kind of huge. I thought it was like the bigger version, the 10.5 or 10.2 inch version, not the mini. And it looks like the cable's kind of just like strung along the desk. Maybe if you got like an outlet around that side where the iPad mini is already at, you could just wire it up. That way, you don't get anything snagged on the cable or anything like that. That would pretty much be my only suggestion for the setup. But yeah, overall, it's really clean. I can tell your setup is used for work and keeping things organized. And overall, it looks really good. So Scott, thank you for submitting. And if you want to submit your setup, just follow the instructions in the description down below. So before we wrap up, I kind of wanted to talk about why this phone is called the SE, because, for a long time there was a debate of whether this phone was going to be called the iPhone 9 or the iPhone SE. So a lot of people are confused as to why it's called the SE, even though it's got the same body style as the iPhone 8. Well, I think the answer to that is very simple. It's because of the price. So SE stands for Special Edition, according to Apple, and you may be thinking, why would it be called the Special Edition when it's their lowest end model? Well, that's what makes it special for you and for Apple. Apple is known as a high-end brand. Like, look at their flagships. They started a brand new. This is called the SE, it's the special edition, because it's the iPhone that most people are going to be able to justify purchasing, especially in other regions. That's what makes this iPhone special. Not everything that's special is also expensive, But that's pretty much it for this one. As soon as the iPhone SE drops and we get our hands on it, we'll have content on this channel. You already know how the deal works, so make sure to subscribe for future content like this, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next one.